When the car accident happened, the CEO brother and the award-winning actor fiancé instinctively protected the innocent Baihua Luo Shinshin. I was thrown hundreds of meters away by the impact, only to wake up and find myself back to the day before my debut press conference. In my previous life, I merely took one step closer to Liang Yeting, and he immediately distanced himself, publicly mocking me for trying to ride on his fame. My brother also looked down on me, saying I relied on family connections and wasn't worthy of competing with Luo Shinshin, who had no backing. But now they stood on either side of Luo Shinshin, lending her their support. Backed by the CEO and paired with an award-winning actor, she became the hottest star overnight, completely disillusioned. I bought a plane ticket and went abroad to start a new life. 3 years later, Luo Shinshin won the Grand Slam for Best Actress. At the award ceremony, I happened to be seated next to Liang Yeting. He mocked me. "Even if you've lost me, you shouldn't give up on yourself like this. No man would want you this way." My brother also shook his head at me. "You had so much pride when you left, yet here you are crawling back to beg me." But when I, as the host's wife, took the stage to speak, both of them were visibly flustered. Shinshin is only 21 and has already won the Triple Crown. She's the first in the entertainment industry to achieve this. Her future is truly boundless. Rumor has it she's about to get engaged to the award-winning actor Liang Yeting. A perfect match between beauty and talent. It's like a fairytale couple. Not so fast. Xu Yangju of the Xu Group has booked all the helicopters in the city, preparing a grand confession for Shinshin. Who she'll choose is still up in the air. The award ceremony venue was buzzing with voices. Just as I found my seat and turned around, I happened to see the aloof and noble Liang Yeting, noticing I had taken my seat. He showed a hint of surprise before quickly revealing disdain in his eyes. "Don't sit here." I'm a bit puzzled and asked, "Why?" Liang Yeting raised his proud head, extremely impatient. "Today I'm going to confess to Shinshin, and with you sitting next to me, I'm afraid she might misunderstand." "Why did you have to come back at this exact time?" I glanced down at the invitation card in my hand, but before I could speak, I was interrupted by a reporter beside me. "Mr. Liang, there are rumors that you're proposing to Miss Luo Shinshin today. Is it true? Could you give us some details?" The swarm of reporters blocked me completely, and Liang Yeting's voice sounded playful. "It's a secret." These two words were even more ambiguous than a direct confirmation, sending the reporters into an uproar. Amidst the commotion, a few sharp-eyed journalists began scrutinizing me. A young girl wearing a red hat blurted out, "Isn't this the Xu family heiress who used to pester actor Liang?" Back then, I heard she was so desperate to chase love that she insisted on debuting alongside him, even spending a fortune to partner with the actor. Then she suddenly disappeared. Why is she here today? Could it be that she knows about Liang's confession today and refuses to give up? Coming here to continue pursuing love. As soon as she finished speaking, all the cameras and gazes focused on me. Facing the dark lenses of the cameras, I simply smiled faintly and waved my hand. "It's a misunderstanding. I have nothing to do with the things you're talking about. I'm just here by invitation to attend the event." Liang Yeting snorted coldly beside me. "Stop pretending. You deliberately arranged the seat next to me. Who doesn't know what schemes you're plotting?" He turned to look at me, his voice stern. "I'm warning you one more time. If you dare do anything to hurt Shinshin, I won't go easy on you again." Screams erupted from the crowd. And Liang Yeting's words were fully captured by the cameras. The reporter in the red hat sounded thrilled, the best actor fiercely protecting his wife. "This is huge news. We're witnessing true love." Before I could even refute it, my hand was suddenly yanked hard. "Xu Yanxi, who told you to come here?" The familiar voice belonged to my half-brother, Xu Yangju. His grip on my wrist was tight, his expression dark. "This isn't the place for your nonsense. Come with me." A sharp pain shot through my wrist, and I instinctively struggled. "I came here for serious business. Don't you dare touch me." My resistance only further infuriated Xu Yangju. "Do you think I don't know what's on your mind? I warned you long ago. Love can't be bought with money. Are you really going to make the same mistake again? Stop embarrassing our Xu family." He paid no attention to my strapless mini dress being torn nearly to the point of exposure, nor did he care about the countless cameras capturing me freely. You could act out before, and I let you, but not today. This honor was earned through Shinshin's tremendous efforts. I don't want it ruined by anyone. Yenshi, be sensible and stop making a scene, okay? Meeting his nearly bloodshot eyes, a dull pain surged in my chest. He's clearly my brother. Yet right now he disregards all propriety, humiliating me in front of everyone, all for his beloved Luo Shinshin. On the other side, Liang Yeting stood with his hands in his pockets, watching me like it was some entertaining show. Why go to such lengths? No matter how pitiful you act, I still won't like you. If you can't have my love, you shouldn't give up on yourself and make such a scene in public. No man will ever look at you again. Her clothes had already been pulled up to her chest, but her brother still didn't let go. Instead, hearing Liang Yeting's words only fueled his determination further. If you don't want to be humiliated, leave here now. I could only clutch my collar and defend myself hoarsely. As family of the event organizers, I was specially invited to attend this banquet. None of you have the right to kick me out. After these words were spoken, everyone froze momentarily. Family of the organizers. The host of this ceremony is none other than the renowned Jinghai tycoon Fu Jingxing. His multinational trade empire spans the globe with countless assets. Truly a formidable figure, but I heard that Mr. Fu is an orphan with no relatives. Could it be that you're his wife? The reporter in the red hat widened her gossip-filled eyes, while even my brother, who had been pulling at me, stopped his actions. Before he could react, Liang Yeting, who had been watching from the sidelines, suddenly stood up and walked over to me. Looking down at me from above, his brows were tightly furrowed, carrying an inexplicable anger. Shu Yenshi, what did you mean by what you just said? During these years away from me, have you been fooling around with other men? His tone carried an inexplicable jealousy, dripping with sarcasm. In my past life, I threw myself into the entertainment industry without hesitation for him. Struggling through hardships just to keep up with his pace, he suffered massive investment losses. And it was I who sold the shares my parents left me, exhausting all my resources to help him. Thus, he agreed to my courtship and became engaged to me. I had thought my sincerity moved him, but little did I know he was only deceiving me for my money, to fund Luo Shinshin's movie, a billion-dollar production, tailor-made for Luo Shinshin. When I discovered it, he simply justified himself shamelessly, saying, "She has potential, she just needs an opportunity." How could someone privileged like you understand the struggles of a small-time actor? I must help her. I poured out my pain to my brother, not noticing his face growing increasingly pale. Turns out, Luo Shinshin was a female student he had personally sponsored. Because of her striking beauty, he had pulled strings to get her into film school. While listening to my complaints, the only thing on his mind was the fear of losing the woman he loved. He advised me, no matter what happens between you and Liang Yeting, don't let it affect Luo Shinshin. Furious, I confronted Luo Shinshin directly, demanding she stay away from my fiancé. To my surprise, she burst into tears, slapped herself, saying she was sorry and wanted to atone for her sins. All while running away, my brother and Liang Yeting quickly chased after her, and I followed closely behind them. Luo Shinshin ran onto the road, and when the accident happened, my brother and Liang Yeting immediately shielded her with their bodies. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the night before my debut. My brother urgently notified the staff overnight to change my debut press conference into one for Luo Shinshin. Liang Yeting also dressed up formally, solely to support Luo Shinshin. They both felt they had wronged Luo Shinshin in their past lives and, given a second chance, were determined to compensate her without holding back. My heart turned to ashes, and I decided to go abroad alone. On the night I left home, my brother merely thought I was throwing a tantrum, playing at running away, and dismissed me with scornful mockery. The outside world isn't as gentle as you imagine. I've raised you to be too naive. It's time you went out and experienced hardship. Only then will you understand how difficult Shinshin had it before, and you won't keep targeting her in the future. I left for 3 years. Until today, when I was invited back for an event and happened to run into them, I never imagined that our reunion would be such an unbearable scene. Brother Yeting, Brother Yangju, you're both here. I feel so much more at ease with you by my side. Such a grand occasion is really overwhelming. I hope I don't mess up later. Come on, give me strength. Luo Xinshin, dressed in a black floor-length gown, hadn't yet shed her youthful innocence, appearing especially playful. She extended her hand, making a cheering gesture toward the two men. Both men's eyes lit up instantly. Liang Yeting, who had been questioning me, quickly distanced himself from me, softening his tone. You're already an award-winning actress, yet you still get so nervous. Don't worry, no matter what happens, I'll be here for you. He reached out his hand and placed it on Luo Xinshin's hand. Brother Yangju, what are you spacing out for? Come on. The addressed brother's face flushed with an unnatural blush, and his words became stammered. See coming. His gaze at Luo Xinshin was one of undisguised admiration. Recalling my past life, when I saw his note for Luo Xinshin was Little Flower. I had asked him in confusion why he used such a corny nickname. He had only chuckled softly without answering. But now I understand. Luo Xinshin is the flower he carefully nurtured. He watched her grow, bloom, and shine, becoming a dazzling star. The way he looked at her was too piercing. I couldn't help but avert my gaze. Luo Xinshin seemed unaware of my presence. After refueling, she continued talking to herself. I accidentally twisted my ankle backstage just now, but luckily someone caught me. She deliberately turned her delicate profile toward the reporter's cameras. After thanking him, I realized he was actually the mysterious investor, Fu Jinghang from Jinghai. He said I was his first leading lady at the banquet. She lowered her head shyly, her smile as picturesque as a painting, eliciting cheers from the crowd. As expected of our superstar, effortlessly winning over the tycoon of Jinghai, seems like another man is about to fall under Sister Xinshin's spell. The film emperor and the CEO must be sweating now. Exactly. If Boss Fu joins the competition, it feels like he could easily crush the other two. After all, Jinghai's international enterprise spans the globe, way bigger than Shu Corporation. If Boss Fu makes a move, the entire entertainment industry might tremble. The onlookers whispered among themselves, while the two men present grew visibly darker in expression. Xinshin, did he do anything else to you? You must keep your eyes open and recognize who truly treats you best. Liang Yeting eagerly leaned in closer. Meanwhile, his elder brother Xu Yangju watched from afar with a lonely gaze. I only wish for your happiness. After leaving these words, he turned to leave. Luo Xinshin's eyes blinked rapidly as she coyly waved her hand. What are you talking about? You're all exaggerating so much. He just helped me with a small favor. How could he possibly fall in love with me out of nowhere? As she spoke, her gaze suddenly pierced through the crowd, locking directly onto me. It's just that I happened to hear someone spreading rumors about Mr. Fu. He helped me, so I ought to repay him somehow. After all, someone of Mr. Fu's status isn't just anyone's stepping stone. Don't you agree, Sister Yanxi? Luo Xinda walked over to me triumphantly, and the cameras followed her every move. Long time no see, Sister Yanxi. Since you ran away from home 3 years ago, I've been so worried about you. I've been blaming myself. If Brother Yeting hadn't fallen in love with me and broken your heart, you wouldn't have left without a word. That's why I haven't dared to accept anyone's affection all this time. But now it's all good. I heard you've found someone new, so I can finally rest easy. She playfully winked at me, and a card slipped from her clothes onto the ground. She deliberately bent down to pick it up, conveniently revealing the contents of the business card. It was Fu Jingxing's business card. Facing the camera, she flashed an apologetic smile. Just now, Boss Fu specifically reminded me to contact him when I have time to discuss cooperation. By the way, Sister Yanxi, you just mentioned whose family member you were. All eyes turned to me, and suddenly, a burst of laughter erupted from the crowd. Didn't expect the embarrassment to come so fast. This woman tried to act all high and mighty, only to end up making a fool of herself. So hilarious, exactly. If Fu wasn't blind, there's no way he'd fancy her. In what way could she possibly compare to my Xinshin? While you're all mocking that pretentious woman, I'm the only one feeling sorry for actor Liang and President Xu, suddenly having such a formidable rival. I can't even imagine how devastated they must be. Meeting Luo Xinshin's challenging gaze, I slowly spoke up. I've made myself perfectly clear earlier. I'm here at the banquet as an invited family member of the organizers. I stared fearlessly into her eyes, and she seemed unable to restrain herself, letting out a mocking laugh. Sister Yanxi, mind your words. The host of tonight's event isn't someone ordinary you can just freeload off. Liang Yeting also stepped forward, looking at me with disgust. Xu Yanxi. I've told you before, I despise liars the most. Did you think pretending not to care would make me admire you? It only makes me dislike you even more. My elder brother Xu Yangju looked at me with a helpless expression and advised, if you don't want to disgrace the Xu family, just leave here quickly, okay? Ignoring their mockery and disdain, I calmly took my rightful seat. Soon, staff members came forward to disperse the crowd as the award ceremony was about to begin. The host stepped onto the stage and after introducing tonight's guests, suddenly shifted the tone. Tonight's award ceremony has a mysterious guest in attendance. Below the stage, those in the know had already erupted into cheers. Many of you must have already heard the news. He is none other than the organizer of tonight's event, the elusive tycoon who has never appeared in public before, Fu Jingxing. The scream almost pierced through the venue, filling everyone with curiosity about this mysterious tycoon. Suddenly, the host changed the tone of the conversation. But our Mr. Fu has a very peculiar temper. No matter how I tried to invite him, he refused to come out. Only after asking did I find out that Mr. Fu insists on being invited out by his future Mrs. Fu. The host's playful warm-up was suddenly interrupted by an inexplicable commotion from the audience. Luo Xinshin, Luo Xinshin. Soon after, many others joined in the chanting. Boss Fu's unconventional confession is truly fascinating. The future Mrs. Fu, isn't that our Xinshin? Love at first sight is so sweet. Xinshin, Xinshin. The deafening cheers from the audience drowned out any notice of the host's awkward expression. Please, everyone, calm down a little. The host kept flipping the card in his hand, as if repeatedly confirming something. Finally, with some hesitation, he continued speaking. Next, please welcome the future Mrs. Fu, Miss Xu Yanxi, to come on stage and speak. What, Xu Yanxi, is there some mistake? The audience, who had just been cheering, suddenly fell into dead silence, followed by waves of whispers. Right, didn't Xinshin just say that Boss Fu told her she was his first leading lady? That sounded like a confession was coming. How did it suddenly turn into Xu Yanxi? Maybe that wicked woman pulled some strings. Didn't you see how hesitant the host was just now? Something's definitely fishy. Was the cue card swapped? Ignoring everyone's doubts, I straightened my dress and walked onto the stage gracefully. Looking at the fans below the stage who were full of malice toward me, I didn't feel the slightest bit of fear, all because Fu Jingxing had given me an overwhelming sense of security over these past 3 years. Taking the microphone, I spoke softly with a hint of amusement. I'm delighted to be invited to tonight's banquet. I never expected such a grand welcome for my first event since returning to the country. I never expected that after 3 years abroad, everyone remains completely unchanged, just as adorable as before. I shook my head slightly at Luo Xinshin, who was clenching her fists on stage, her smile frozen stiff. Meeting her gaze that seemed ready to devour me whole, my voice remained calm. Tonight's award ceremony includes a special segment. That's the jury vote. Make the back-end data public and conduct a real-name vote for the nominated actors present. This will better ensure the fairness and impartiality of the awards. As soon as I finished speaking, the discussions in the audience grew louder. This is an unprecedented format. Since the establishment of this Best Actress award, the winner has always been announced directly by the judging panel. This candidate is usually predetermined well in advance. Tonight's banquet may claim to determine the Best Actress, but the winner was actually decided long ago. That's why some people have already started celebrating Luo Xinshin's victory, even though the award hasn't officially been given to her yet. But if the voting method were changed to live voting now, the predetermined candidate could very likely be replaced. Luo Xinshin couldn't sit still any longer, but to maintain her composure, she gritted her teeth and extended her hand, being the first to start applauding. The media quickly captured her action. Oh my, Shinshin is so magnanimous. Even though this situation clearly disadvantages her, she doesn't seem to care at all and was the first to applaud. That's because Shinshin's talent is strong enough. No matter how the rules change, I believe she'll be the one to win the award in the end. Support Shinshin. It's obvious this woman is stirring up trouble. She's deliberately targeting our Shinshin. We mustn't let her succeed. The voices supporting Luo Shinshin grew louder, even escalating into rowdy cheers. Support Shinshin, support Shinshin. I didn't get a chance to continue announcing. I've said all I need to say. Now, let's welcome tonight's special guest, Fu Jingxing. The murmurs quickly died down as everyone's attention was drawn to the mysterious VIP about to appear. The lights dimmed throughout the venue, and I stepped aside, quietly waiting for my beloved to appear. In the darkness, I saw him slowly walk to the stage, smiling tenderly at me. The lights exploded instantly, yet the entire venue was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. When everyone saw the man on stage clearly, they all gasped in shock. Dressed in an exquisite suit with immaculately styled hair, the man's breathtakingly handsome appearance left everyone utterly stunned. Is this the legendary Big Boss Fu? He's so handsome it's almost unfair. Not even an Oscar-winning actor could compare to 1,000th of his charm. The host seemed to forget they were still wearing a microphone, murmuring to themselves. Below the stage, Liang Yeting, who had been called out, wore a gloomy expression. Fu Jingxing took the microphone and was about to speak when Luo Shinshin, looking serious from the audience, interrupted him. No, you're not Fu Jingxing at all. She lifted her skirt as if she had uncovered some shocking secret, trotted onto the stage, and directly snatched the microphone from Fu Jingxing's hand without a shred of decorum. I'm terribly sorry, everyone, for interrupting your enjoyment, but this matter is too appalling. I couldn't bear to sit by and do nothing. So I had no choice but to rudely cut in and come up here to clarify. I can prove that the man on this stage is not Fu Jingxing at all. She glared at me fiercely, like a smug peacock. I glanced back at Fu Jingxing, who merely tilted his head slightly without making a move. Everyone knows that just now backstage, Boss Fu helped me when I was about to fall. You might not have seen it, but I witnessed Boss Fu's appearance firsthand. She triumphantly pulled out a business card. Not only that, but he also gave me his business card and told me to contact him if needed. The cameraman at the venue was quick-witted, and soon the business card appeared on the big screen. Below the stage, a distinguished investor quickly stood up to confirm. That's right, this is Mr. Fu Jingxing's business card. I've seen it before. Miss Luo isn't lying, bolstered by the support. Luo Shinshin became even more self-righteous. I saw it with my own eyes. This so-called Big Boss Fu is a bespectacled man with extraordinary bearing, refined, elegant, and composed. She glanced back at Fu Jingxing and let out a disdainful snort from her throat. But this imposter is clearly just some male model they dug up from who knows where. Sure, he's got a decent face, but no matter how hard he tries to act the part, he's nothing but a fake. You keep changing the rules and hiring male models. Sister Yanxi, I know you dislike me, spending 3 years to set up such an elaborate trap just to harm me. You've really gone to great lengths. Too bad your scheme is unlikely to succeed. She flashed me a sly smile, while Liang Yeting in the audience seemed to relax and followed her onto the stage. Shu Yanxi, when will you ever learn? Ruining Shinshin's award ceremony won't make me look at you any differently. I've told you before, no matter how many times we start over, I'll only ever love Shinshin. Why do you still insist on foolishly trying to frame her? He gently wrapped his arm around Luo Shinshin's shoulder. Don't be afraid, Shinshin, I'll stand up for you. Her elder brother Shu Yangju also walked over. Shu Yanxi, stop making trouble. Haven't you been humiliated enough? Do you want to continue embarrassing yourself? He tried to grab me again, but Fu Jingxing beside me pushed him away. He gently shielded me and let out a soft cough. Suddenly, a bespectacled man approached from below the stage. Luo Shinshin spotted him, and her eyes instantly lit up. The real Boss Fu is here. Everyone, look. The spotlight instantly shone on the man with striking eyes in the audience. Just as Luo Shinshin had described, the man carried himself with calm elegance and grace. Luo Shinshin pushed Liang Yeting aside. clattered down the stage steps, and put on an exaggerated look of grievance, her voice turning sugary sweet. "Brother Jingxing, these imposters were pretending to be you earlier. And I risked everything to defend your honor. Now that you're here, I can finally relax. I helped you once, and I won't let your reputation be tarnished for nothing." Luo Xinxin blinked her eyes coquettishly, but to her surprise, the bespectacled man didn't spare her a single glance. He looked up at Fu Jingxing, who remained silent on the stage, and spoke respectfully. "Mr. Fu, the overcoat you asked me to fetch earlier has been placed in your lounge." Fu Jingxing nodded and turned to speak to me. "Yanxi, I'm afraid you'll be cold. Put on your coat later." Two utterly ordinary sentences, yet they stunned everyone, both on and off stage, into complete silence throughout the entire venue, especially Luo Xinxin, who seemed to suddenly lose all strength, collapsing heavily to the ground as all color drained from her face. "No, impossible. How could she possibly be worthy of Mr. Fu?" Luo Xinxin looked at me in disbelief, her lips trembling uncontrollably. Meanwhile, Liang Yeting walked over with a furrowed brow. His tone stiff. "Xu Yanxi, is all of this true? Not some drama you orchestrated out of jealousy towards Xinxin?" I couldn't help but laugh out loud. "Liang Yeting, haven't you sobered up yet?" A trace of sadness seeped through his brows. "Are you really with this man? You said you'd love only me and wait for me forever, didn't you? Were you lying to me?" He seemed inexplicably pained, but I just felt disgusted. In my past life, I who loved him to the extreme did indeed beg him in agony. I told him, "Wait for me a little longer. I'll become better. One day, I'll be worthy of you. I'll only love you in this lifetime. Whenever you turn back, I'll always be here." From the moment he debuted, I've been wholeheartedly devoted to him, his most loyal fan. When he was sidelined and targeted, it was me fighting desperately with votes to help him overcome the difficulties. Perhaps because I witnessed his pain firsthand, I invested too much emotion in him. In my eyes, he was the superstar I had nurtured step by step. For him, I resolutely abandoned my own career and plunged into the entertainment industry, just to get a little closer to him. But once he soared to fame and became an award-winning actor, he immediately drew a clear line between us. "You're just a fan to me. Please don't cross the line." It wasn't until I saw with my own eyes him holding Baihua Luo Xinxin as they boarded his private van, only then did I finally understand that no matter how hard I try, I can never bridge the gap between him and me. Yet now, he actually has the audacity to accuse me. "Xu Yanxi, if you can't keep your promises, then don't make them carelessly. I've told you before, I despise liars the most." He helped Luo Xinxin up and glared at me fiercely. "If you knew the truth all along, why did you stay silent? Just because you hated me for not loving you, you had to embarrass Xinxin like this." The accusation was particularly harsh, utterly shameless. "All of this is your fault. You're truly despicable." Even the usually well-mannered Fu Jingxing beside me clenched his fists. After 3 years together, I knew better than anyone how gentle this man's temper was. After giving up and flying abroad, I returned to my old profession and became a psychologist. It was through this opportunity that I met Fu Jingxing, who was suffering from severe depression. Beneath the mysterious exterior, he was merely a young man driven to despair by the entanglements of family strife. His fine upbringing left him ill-equipped to navigate the foul and bloody arena of fame and fortune. Yet the pressures from his family offered no escape. Under such weight, he lost the ability to be happy. On the surface, he was decisive and ruthless. In private, he leaned into my embrace, asking me again and again, what should I do? I stayed by his side, guiding him step by step, helping him out of his predicament. He trusted me unconditionally, treating me as his life mentor. Now that I'm being humiliated, he merely raises his hand slightly, and the security guards swarm forward. When Liang Yeting was being dragged away, he struggled in disbelief. On what grounds are you touching me? Tonight is Xinxin's event. Without me protecting her, she'll definitely be bullied. Fu Jingxing, you've misjudged the person. You have no idea what a vicious woman stands beside you. She's trash I discarded, yet you treat her like treasure. Your judgment is truly lacking. With just a glance from Fu Jingxing, the bodyguard followed them out. I know Liang Yeting won't have an easy night tonight. Meanwhile, Luo Xinshin, still lying on the ground, seemed unwilling to give up. I made a mistake earlier, but my intention was only to stand up for you. I know you're a good person, so I was afraid someone might exploit your reputation to bully others. After all, this woman by your side is notoriously infamous. Back then, she framed me multiple times for Liang Yeting's sake. And the worst incident was when she tried to lure me into a foreign scam ring. I'm lucky to be alive after escaping death, and now I'm clinging to you. You must be very careful. She's a venomous woman. She gazed at Liang Yeting with utmost sincerity in her eyes. Though not a single word she spoke was true, her demeanor was exceptionally genuine. It suddenly dawned on me. Liang Yeting was right when he said she had a talent for acting. How could someone who lies so blatantly without batting an eye not be considered talented? It's a shame that such talent has all turned to naught today. Ms. Luo, but I've had people investigate, and the truth seems to differ somewhat from what you've said. How is it that in my investigation records, none of the situations you mentioned appear at all? On the contrary, I've uncovered quite a bit of dirt about you. Fu Jingxing held my hand, his voice dripping with disdain. Luo Xinshin opened her mouth but said nothing, as if suddenly remembering something. At that moment, my brother Xu Yangju suddenly stepped forward. Enough, Yanxi, haven't you caused enough trouble by now? You know perfectly well why those things couldn't be investigated. Even without evidence, you know whether you've done them or not. With someone backing her up again, Luo Xinshin suddenly regained her confidence. That's right, Xu Yanxi. Don't pretend you don't know. We all understand better than anyone why there's no evidence, but you harmed me. That's undeniable. I let out a cold laugh. Who harmed whom? The guilty party knows best. In her previous life, Luo Xinshin always saw me as her enemy. She once tricked me into entering a nightclub, creating massive scandals while tarnishing my innocence. Then, when I returned home in despair, she spread rumors that I was begging the Xu family to use their capital to cover up for me. In my moment of despair, I once asked her why she treated me this way. Looking down at me condescendingly, she said, "I look down the most on people like you, second-generation heirs who effortlessly enjoy such privileged lives despite having no real skills. Everything I possess was earned through my own struggles. You're merely a stepping stone for my ascent. It's your privilege to be used by me." She looked down on me, treating me as cannon fodder, endlessly belittling and using me as her contrast group to highlight herself. But in my past life, I was too foolish. My heart and mind were solely consumed by romance. I threw caution to the wind, abandoned everything, and placed all my hopes on Liang Yeting. I longed for him to heal me, but reality dealt me a heavy blow in this lifetime. I gave up everything just to live my own life well, yet I never expected they still wouldn't let me go. Yanxi, are you really going to disobey your brother's words now? Today is the most important day in Xinshin's career. Given the harm you've caused her before, I'm asking you to take a step back today. I promise you. We can turn hostility into harmony. You'll still be my good sister, and we can coexist peacefully. How about this? Admit that everything was your plan, apologize publicly, and we'll consider this matter settled. For 2 lifetimes, Xu Yangju has always been like this, using his position as my elder brother to pressure me from above, forcing me to yield to Luo Xinshin, just because he felt sorry for Luo Xinshin's plight. He once told me, "She's the same age as you, yet lives a completely different life. Don't you think she's pitiful? What's wrong with giving in to her a little? You're already so much happier than her. Can't you be more generous?" I've been sponsoring Xinshin since she was little. My judgment isn't wrong. I know exactly what kind of person she is. At that time, I asked him tearfully, "I'm your sister, we grew up together. Am I really such a wicked person in your eyes?" He just sighed. "I know you've been spoiled since childhood, but this time, your brother won't help you anymore." Looking back now, I find it utterly ridiculous, having been morally blackmailed my whole life. This time I refused to yield any longer. I reached out and lifted the microphone, speaking calmly. "Xu Yangju, do you think that just because I've enjoyed a privileged life since childhood while Luo Xinshin climbed her way up from the bottom, I should always be the one to compromise and yield?" Xu Yangju nodded without hesitation and retorted, "Isn't that right? Xinshin sees her own efforts, Unlike you, aren't you satisfied? I let out a light chuckle. But brother, don't forget, you were also raised spoiled and pampered just like me. You've enjoyed such a good life for so long. Since you're so kind-hearted, why don't you donate all your money to children in mountainous areas? They've suffered since childhood, much more pitiful than you. How could you bear to eat well, dress well, and live in a big house while watching them endure hardship? Brother, you wouldn't possibly disagree, would you? Xu Yangju was nearly speechless from my words. How could you think like that? Frowning, I pretended to be innocent. What, brother? Are you really that selfish? You've had such a good life since childhood. While children in mountainous areas have suffered hardships from birth, you're not even willing to lend a hand. How can you be so selfish? The crowd erupted in boos, and Xu Yanzhou's face turned pale, then red. In the end, he could only mutter, sophistry. Utterly unreasonable. With that, he scurried away in disgrace. The farce finally came to an end, but Luo Xinxin still refused to give up and chased after me to question me. Then I don't need to hold back anymore. Before returning to the country, Fu Jingxing had already investigated Luo Xinxin for me. In this lifetime, she didn't have time to do anything bad to me before I went abroad, but that didn't stop her from being ruthless toward other rising stars of the same period. Those misfortunes didn't befall me, but others instead. During the investigation, we gathered reports from dozens of victims while Fu Jingxing hired countless paparazzi and detectives to collect every piece of evidence one by one. Now was the time to close the net. Suddenly, the large screen lit up, displaying secretly recorded footage. Luo Xinxin stepped on the newcomer actress's hand, grinding it mercilessly twice, her tone dripping with arrogance. Speak, did you deliberately bump into actor Liang? Do you think someone like you deserves to get close to him? The young actress writhed in pain, her face contorted, but Luo Xinxin showed no mercy. I really didn't mean to. I didn't see actor Liang in front of me. I'm sorry, Sister Luo. But the news that was ultimately broadcast portrayed the rookie actress as bullying Luo Xinxin with the backing of her sugar daddy and seducing Liang Yeting. Another scene showed Luo Xinxin knocking on the director's door while disheveled. The director was terrified, but Luo Xinxin deliberately barged in. Director Liu, I just wanted to audition. I'm more suitable for the female lead role than Lin Shu, but when the news broke, it turned out to be another actress deliberately offering herself in exchange for favors, willing to sacrifice herself for righteousness to secure a role. Scene after scene, time and again, it was all Luo Xinxin's doing. A full hour and a half of explosive revelations, more shocking than any movie, ended with boos erupting throughout the venue. Luo Xinxin nearly went insane, smashing things everywhere and screaming, "It's all fake, you're framing me, taking advantage of my lack of connections to drag me down. Fame brings trouble. You just don't want me to succeed, but I won't let you break me." Yet the truth couldn't be obscured by her excuses. Besides, Luo Xinxin was no longer some helpless little flower without backing. She abused her power and had become capital. Immediately after, those she had bullied came forward one by one from backstage, lining up neatly to accuse her. Under their barrage of accusations, Luo Xinxin no longer had the strength to resist. In the end, she was taken away by the police for investigation on charges of intentional harm. The farce came to an end, and Fu Jingxing held my hand as we stepped off the stage. I never expected Liang Yeting to suddenly chase after me with reddened eyes. "Xu Yanxi, look at me seriously, look into my eyes and tell me. Do all those vows no longer count? I don't believe you can truly let go of me, truly stop loving me." Behind him, the bodyguards caught up and subdued him once again. Fu Jingxing turned his head and asked me, "Yanxi, would you feel sorry for him?" Without hesitation, I shook my head firmly and planted another kiss on Fu Jingxing's forehead. That night, I received a video of Liang Yeting with a bruised and swollen face on my phone, he still stubbornly refusing to admit defeat. Unaware of how dire his situation is, Yanxi absolutely couldn't possibly not love me. No matter how many times we start over, she'll always be devoted to me. She wouldn't lie to me. I just find it utterly ridiculous. Meanwhile, my brother Xu Yangju has already been called back to the company by a phone call. For no other reason, The Fu Corporation would target his company and drive it into bankruptcy at the fastest speed possible. His good days were already over. On the plane, Fu Jingxing gazed at me tenderly. Yanxi, you'll never have to wake up startled from nightmares or be haunted by these past troubles again. I lay in his arms, listening to his strong heartbeat, feeling as if the world was exceptionally beautiful. Now we move on to the second story. I've been with Zhu Yang for 10 years. To please him, I tattooed his birthday on my collarbone. He finally said he would marry me. My family only asks for a 200,000 dowry, and the house and car are all provided by my parents. He thought it was too expensive, yet married a girl he met through a blind date who demanded $1 million dowry. Zhu Yang mocked me, saying that girls like me who date freely aren't worth much. I turned around and had a whirlwind marriage with Zhu Yang's uncle, who shares the same birthday as him. Later, Zhu Yang came holding all his possessions, begging for my forgiveness. Zhu Yuran wrapped his arm around my waist and glanced at him disdainfully. Call me uncle. Later, Zhu Yuran stared deeply at the tattoo on my collarbone. That's your birthday, puppy. Really? Yao Yao. Yes, really. I waved my hand dismissively. Zhu Yuran remained silent, only lowering himself with relentless force. The day Zhu Yang said he would marry me, I clutched my phone and paced around the living room 3 times. Though there was no grand proposal, I was already content. I thought our relationship had finally reached a new milestone, watching my joyful expression. My mother wiped away tears while murmuring, as long as Yao Yao is happy, we won't ask for anything more. Our family's demands on Zhu Yang were minimal, just requiring him to contribute 200,000 yuan as proof of his sincerity toward me. The house and car were fully covered by my family, and even the wedding banquet was booked at an affordable hotel. Zhu Yang agreed readily at the time, deciding to get married on Valentine's Day, but 3 days later, he sent a text message, "Let's break up. I'm getting married." These words struck like a bolt from the blue. I stared at my phone in disbelief at the text message. I kept checking the words before my eyes, making sure I hadn't misread them. I kept calling Zhu Yang, but all I got in response was the cold, mechanical voice of a woman. That girl was someone he met through a blind date, 8 years younger than him, opening with a demand for $1 million, plus a fully paid apartment downtown. Zhu Yang accepted it all without hesitation, even posting photos of wedding rings on social media. Caption: "True love is priceless." Staring at that post, I suddenly felt the tattoo on my collarbone burn with a stinging pain. In his eyes, 10 years of affection didn't even qualify for bargaining. Even breaking up was just a casual remark. "I'm getting married." No further explanation was given, yet the high price of a stranger he'd just met became his bragging right. That night, I curled up in a corner of the bar. My fingertips traced the tattoo of his name over and over, the alcohol burning my eyes until they stung. It was a vow I carved into my skin on his 18th birthday, gritting my teeth through the pain. I've always been someone who fears pain the most. I don't even dare to take a second look at the 4-needle. But back then, when the tattoo artist asked if it hurt, I shook my head. My heart was filled only with thoughts of Zhu Yang's joy when he saw this gift. At that time, he held me tightly and said, "Yao Yao, I could never let you down in this lifetime, but now this tattoo is like an out-of-season item, forever etched into my body, deep into my bones." Over 10 years, the tattoo on my collarbone has faded into a faint bluish gray, just like Zhu Yang's name. It has become an indelible scar within my body. 10 years is enough time for a young man to mature, from naive ignorance to charismatic charm. It was enough to make Zhu Yang go from holding my hand and saying "I'll marry no one but you" to casually uttering self-proclaimed women aren't worth much, until a shadow loomed over me, and the man's slender fingers tapped lightly on my wine glass. "Zhu Yuran, Zhu Yang's uncle." He paused, his gaze lingering on my slightly open collar. What a coincidence. These numbers are the same as my birthday. I looked up and met eyes strikingly similar to Zhu Yang's, but Zhu Yang's gaze was always elusive. Like sand slipping through fingers, Zhu Yuran's pupils were deep and profound, as if they could swallow all light and draw people in. He is Zhu Yang's uncle, born on the same year, month, and day as Zhu Yang, but he broke ties with the Zhu family early on and built his own business empire from scratch. rising as a new tycoon in the business world. I looked up at him, his sharp features softened into a scholarly illusion by gold-rimmed glasses. As if possessed, I tugged at my collar and chuckled softly. Yes, it's perfect as your birthday gift. Ju Yuran's eyes darkened slightly as the girl before him sparkled with starlight in her gaze. Will you marry me? He suddenly leaned down, his fingertip lightly tracing the tattoo on my collarbone. Today, right now, the scent of pine enveloped me, dispelling some of the bar's distinctive atmosphere and sobering me up considerably. Ju Yuran and Ju Yang share the same birthday, a coincidence that feels like fate's cruel joke. His towering figure blocked almost all the light before me, leaving only him visible in my sight. Although it was an aggressive posture, I didn't feel uncomfortable. Instead, it gave me a sense of reassurance. Fine, but my wedding must be 10 times more extravagant than Ju Yang's. Waking up with a hangover. I rubbed my throbbing head and absent-mindedly picked up the glass of honey water by the bedside to drink. The faint fragrance and honeyed sweetness slightly eased my discomfort. No, where did this honey water come from? It suddenly dawned on me that this wasn't my home. The bright red marriage certificate on the bedside table was glaring. The dark grey bed was neatly made, immaculate except for the slight wrinkles where I had slept. You're awake. Ju Yuran entered with a plate of freshly cut fruit. The usually aloof person appeared exceptionally gentle at this moment, bearing no resemblance to his decisive demeanor in the business world. Memories from last night suddenly flooded my mind. Did I agree to Ju Yang's uncle's marriage proposal? My brain froze for a moment. I pulled the blanket back and curled myself between the pillows. Ju Yuran put down the plate and walked toward me. Sitting down. Husband. Before the man could speak, I mustered up my courage and spoke. Ju Yuran was somewhat surprised and raised an eyebrow. The corners of his lips curled into an amused smile. Oh, I won't go back on my word, I quickly added. I looked directly at Ju Yuran, who was mere inches away from me, feeling my cheeks begin to flush subtly. This man's face is absolutely flawless. Even this close, not a single flaw can be found. Then can I fulfill my marital duties? Ju Yuran's attractive thin lips came closer and closer to mine, almost touching them. I instinctively closed my eyes, my nose filled with the pleasant scent of pine. After waiting for a long time without feeling anything, I opened my eyes only to see Ju Yuran still maintaining this distance. But his eyes were filled with something I couldn't decipher. He continued to move closer, turning his head slightly. Gently kissing my eyes, he said hoarsely, "Honey, it's time to get up for breakfast." My face instantly turned bright red, and I buried my head under the blanket. I am a wedding dress designer. To wear the dress I made myself and appear before Ju Yang on Valentine's Day. I've pulled several all-nighters, all just so he could see me at my most beautiful. But now, the unfinished wedding dress resembles the incomplete ending between Ju Yang and me. Is anyone there? A sudden voice interrupted my contemplation. The newcomer looked very young, charming and adorable, with a man beside her carrying several shopping bags. Welcome. The man before me turned out to be Ju Yang, and I was momentarily speechless. Ju Yang seemed not to see me, brushing past me directly as he led his bride-to-be to prepare wedding supplies and a wedding dress. Yet he knew full well this was my shop, and still insisted on bringing her here. It's been 10 years. From 18 to 28, I was like a domesticated dog, stumbling clumsily after Ju Yang's shadow. He likes long, straight black hair, so I haven't dyed mine for 10 years. His stomach is sensitive, so I woke up at 4 a.m. to cook porridge and deliver it to his office. He thought my skirts were too flashy, so I only wore dull grey sweaters. When he finally said he wanted to marry me, I nearly knelt before my parents begging them to relent. No house or car needed. The bride price is only 200,000, even begging her mother to sell the family heirloom jade bracelet to add to the dowry. Yet the girl before me wore a short skirt and had bold, exaggerated hair color. Every gesture exuded flamboyance, yet Ju Yang still gazed at her with a smile, his eyes filled with a doting affection I had never seen before. The glaring scene sent waves of sharp pain through my heart. Even though I already knew, the pain was still unavoidable. The boy who belonged to me had long since turned to ashes over the past 10 years. Ning Yao, design the best wedding dress for Yeye. I'm going to marry her on Valentine's Day. Ju Yang spoke to me as if it were the most ordinary thing. Just like ordering me to cook or sweep the floor at home. Do you know each other? Lin Yu's puzzled gaze shifted between me and Ju Yang. Just a friend. Ju Yang wrapped his arm around Lin Yu, his tone ambiguous. What style do you like, honey? I want a fishtail hem with fringe, and the top should. Lin Yu chatted away with her requests, while Ju Yang remained adoringly patient, showing not a hint of impatience. I've also begged Ju Yang to go shopping with me. But he always says it's a woman's activity and not interesting at all. After I finished taking Lin Yu's measurements, she suddenly spoke up, "Isn't my husband good to me?" I lowered my head in agreement while jotting down the numbers in my notebook. I heard he has an ex who's been pestering him for 10 years. Girls these days, if they don't respect themselves, they're worthless. My pen paused mid-stroke, but I still didn't look up. Yeah, no self-respect. When I got home, Mom saw how exhausted I looked and prepared a bowl of calming soup for me. Yao yao, don't overwork yourself for the wedding banquet. Take care of your health too. Just leave it to Ju Yang. I froze, unsure how to respond. I didn't know how to tell Mom that Ju Yang was already married, just not to me. Nor did I know how to tell her that I was already married too. To Ju Yang's uncle, there's been too much going on these days. I'm really overwhelmed. Okay, Mom. I pushed Mom out of the room and collapsed onto the bed. I need some rest. The soft bed sent me straight to sleep. I've been exhausted from all the wedding preparations lately, and slept so deeply I lost track of time. I woke up to find many missed calls on my phone. All of them were from Ju Yang. Finally, my gaze settled on a text message. Come and pack up your things quickly. Yaya is moving in. The photo shows my clothes scattered haphazardly on the floor at Ju Yang's place. I left some spare clothes at his place to make it easier to take care of him. I replied to the message. Soon, an address was sent back. It was Ju Yang's usual pool hall. Come get the keys. The pool hall was thick with smoke. A girlfriend you date yourself is worthless. Sleeping with her for 10 years is like getting it for free. Ju Yang's voice mixed with the sound of cue sticks striking balls. Not like Yaya, young and beautiful. Ju Yang's friend chimed in, clutching my phone. I stood outside the door. 10 years of time shattered into shards of glass. Ju Yang gave me the key. My hand trembled slightly as I reached out. Everyone in the pool hall stopped what they were doing to stare at me, their eyes filled with pity, mockery, and disdain. Ning Yao, maybe if you kneel and beg Brother Yang, he'll marry you after all. Ha ha ha. Ju Yang's friend looked at me with malicious amusement. Laughter erupting all around. Ju Yang remained silent, simply leaning over Lin Yu at the pool table to teach her how to play. He whispered techniques to Lin Yu, completely ignoring my presence. Ju Yang, give me the key. I spoke again, my hand stretched out straight in front of Ju Yang. Ju Yang suddenly straightened up, his cue slapping onto the pool table with a sharp crack, sending a red ball rolling into the corner pocket. He stared at the rolling ball, his lips curling into a mocking smirk. Turning toward me, the silver chain around his neck flashed a cold gleam. Know why I married her and not you? His alcohol-laden breath hit my face. She asked for 500,000 because she's worth 500,000. But you. He pressed his fingertip heavily on the tattoo on my collarbone. No one would want you even if you paid them. The pain made me step back half a step, only for my lower back to collide with the cold pool table. Ju Yang took advantage of the moment to lean in, the cue stick forming a cage behind my waist. This position was once a flirtatious game during our passionate love, but now it had become a tool for public humiliation. His thumb rubbed against the tattoo on my collarbone, as if wiping dust off a counterfeit piece. Get it removed tomorrow, you hear? It looks unlucky. The last word was punched back into his throat. Ju Yang staggered, knocking over the triangular rack, and colorful billiard balls clattered across the floor. Ju Yuran shook his right hand, the hem of his black coat still carrying the chill from outside. He wore silver-rimmed glasses today, yet his gaze behind the lenses was sharper than the neon lights of the pool hall. Yuan, uncle. Ju Yang covered his nose, blood dripping from between his fingers onto his white shirt. Before anyone noticed, Ju Yuran had appeared behind him. He took off his coat and wrapped it around my trembling shoulders. Ju Yuran ignored him, turned around. and used the handkerchief from his suit pocket to wipe the bloodstains from my collarbone. The warmth of his fingers seeped through the silk, burning into my skin. Uncle, what do you mean? Ju Yang struggled to get up. This is between Ning Yaro and me, now it's my business. Ju Yuran pulled out a dark red marriage certificate from his inner pocket and flicked it onto the pool table with 2 fingers. The golden double happiness character on the cover reflected light under the neon sign. Like a slap across Ju Yang's face, in the dead silence, Ju Yuran wrapped his arm around my waist and led me toward the door. After returning home, Ju Yuran suddenly pressed me against the car seat and kissed me deeply. His lips brushed over my blood-stained collarbone, leaving red marks on the tattoo. Plum blossoms bloomed one after another across my chest. I tilted my head back, forced to endure. Ju Yuran's grip on my wrist was so tight it felt like he wanted to melt me into his body. It hurts. I struggled slightly, but my voice shattered in my throat as his knee suddenly pressed against me, his leg wedged between my knees, his black coat pressing down with the scent of cedar and tobacco, mingled with the sharpness of whiskey, making my eyes burn. Now you know it hurts. His thumb pressed heavily against my collarbone, where Ju Yang's blood from the pool hall still lingered. Why didn't you curse when Ju Yang humiliated you? I tilted my head to avoid his touch. Ju Yuran pinned me against the floor-to-ceiling mirror. His body temperature was scorchingly hot, yet his lips pressed coldly against my collarbone. His thumb traced the tattoo on my collarbone as if polishing a dusty counterfeit. Go wash it tomorrow, you hear me? It's bad luck. The last word was punched back down his throat. Ju Yang staggered, knocking over the triangular rack, sending colored billiard balls clattering across the floor. Ju Yuran shook his right hand, the hem of his black coat still carrying the chill from outside. He wore silver-rimmed glasses today, but the gaze behind the lenses was sharper and colder than the neon lights of the pool hall. Little uncle. Ju Yang covered his nose, blood dripping from between his fingers onto his white shirt. At some point, Ju Yuran appeared behind me. He took off his coat and wrapped it around my trembling shoulders. Ju Yuran ignored him, turning instead to wipe the blood from my collarbone with a handkerchief from his suit pocket. The warmth of his fingers seeped through the silk, burning into my skin. What do you mean, uncle? Ju Yang struggled to get up. This is between Ning Yaro and me, now it's my business. Ju Yuran took out a dark red marriage certificate from his inner pocket and flicked it onto the pool table with 2 fingers. The golden double happiness character on the cover reflected under the neon lights. Like a slap across Ju Yang's face, in the dead silence, Ju Yuran wrapped his arm around my waist and led me toward the door. After returning home, Ju Yuran suddenly pinned me down in the car and kissed me deeply. His lips brushed over my blood-stained collarbone, leaving red marks on the tattoo. Tiny plum blossoms bloomed on my chest, one after another. I tilted my head back, forced to endure. Ju Yuran's grip on my wrist was so tight it felt like he wanted to meld me into his body. It hurts. I struggled slightly, but my voice was shattered in my throat by his knee suddenly pressing against me. He wedged one leg between my knees, his black overcoat pressing down with the scent of cedar and tobacco, mingled with the sharpness of whiskey, making my eyes burn. Does it hurt now? His thumb pressed heavily against my collarbone, where Ju Yang's blood from the pool hall still stained my skin. Why didn't you curse when Ju Yang humiliated you? I turned my head away, avoiding his touch. Ju Yuran pinned me against the floor-to-ceiling mirror. His body temperature was scorchingly hot, yet his lips pressed coldly against my collarbone. That's your birthday, puppy. As if possessed, I blurted out those words. His movements froze abruptly, and a storm instantly brewed in his eyes. Really, Yao Yao? He gripped my waist with such force it felt like he might crush my bones. My reflection in the mirror showed disheveled long hair, the tattoo on my collarbone rising and falling with each panting breath, like a vicious wound. Ju Yuran suddenly turned fierce, biting that patch of skin and muttering indistinctly, "Liar, it hurts," but this pain paled in comparison to even a fraction of what I felt when Ju Yang turned away. I tilted my head back, staring at the swaying crystal chandelier on the ceiling, the tears sliding from the corners of my eyes scalding hot. The neon lights of the pool hall cast shadows over Ju Yang's head, his grip on the cue tightening until veins bulged and his knuckles turned white from exertion. Lin Yu leaned against the pool table with a coquettish laugh, chatting about gossip with her friends. Her freshly manicured nails scraped along the rim of the cocktail glass, producing a grating screech. The sound suddenly reminded him of 10 years ago, when Ning Yao crouched in the kitchen of his rented apartment, using her chipped nails to painstakingly scrape burnt kanji from the bottom of the pot. Back then, Ning Yao's cooking skills were very unrefined. She couldn't even make the simplest porridge without burning the bottom. To cheer Ning Yao up, I would always gulp down the burnt porridge in one go. Later, Ning Yao's cooking skills improved without her realizing it, and she never burned anything again. Brother Yang, it's your turn to break. The urging of his dubious friends drifted over with the smell of cigarettes, but Zhu Yang stood frozen in place, unmoving. When Lin Yu approached in her stilettos, he caught the overpowering scent of black opium perfume on her. The fragrance made his temples throb, hazily reminding him of Ning Yao, who always loved sneaking sprays of his cologne, saying the blend of cedar and lime reminded her of a summer night's first kiss. Yang, what do you think of this diamond ring? Isn't it pretty? Lin Yu shoved her phone right in front of his eyes, the 24-carat diamond on the screen nearly filling the entire display. All my friends wear this kind. Zhu Yang suddenly stood up, the pool cue clattering loudly against the floor tiles. What are you doing? Lin Yu was startled. Zhu Yang finally snapped out of it, steadied himself, and quickly comforted Lin Yu, pointing at the dazzling diamond ring flashing on his phone. Buy it, just like this one. Zhu Yang and Lin Yu's wedding was scheduled for Valentine's Day, with the ceremony to be held at the hotel Zhu Yang and I had agreed upon for our own wedding. Everyone was laughing and celebrating the happy couple. Zhu Yang, dressed in formal attire, warmly greeted the guests, no longer the reckless young man he once was. At this moment, Zhu Yang clutched his stomach with a pained expression, his stomach weakened by years of social engagements. He had even been hospitalized for gastric bleeding. And after that incident, I moved into his home to take care of him. Every day, I cooked different meals for him, and only after nearly half a year of dietary therapy did his condition finally show some improvement. Judging by his current complexion, it seems there might be some relapse. But that has nothing to do with me, isn't this Miss Ning? A sharp female voice pierced through the eardrums as Lin Yu, unknowingly when, approached with her bridesmaid entourage, she twirled holding the hem of her dress. The floor-length fishtail gown shimmering under the lights. The dress you designed is beautiful and suits me perfectly. Yang says marrying me is truly his blessing. Lin Yu smiled and waved her hand, the ring on her finger glinting under the lights, dazzling me slightly. Suddenly, my mind flashed back to 8 years ago, to that youthful boy by my side, back when Zhu Yang was struggling financially. To buy me a Valentine's Day gift, he took on several part-time jobs and saved money for a long time. He barely managed to afford a plain ring, presenting it to me like a treasure. The cautious anticipation shining in his eyes is something I remember to this day. Later, whenever Zhu Yang and I argued, I would touch the plain ring on my finger. Thinking of Zhu Yang from that time still makes my heart soften. Subconsciously, I touched the plain band on my ring finger. Empty, only feeling the faint imprint left by years of wearing a ring. Come to think of it, I threw the ring into the river the very night he said he was getting married, letting it sink along with my love. When he saw me, he was already on his 10th drink, his face slightly flushed. Zhu Yang drained the glass of wine in one gulp, his eyes somewhat vacant. He sauntered over with champagne in hand, toying with Lin Yu's fingers without sparing me much of a glance, casually remarking, the invitation was Ye's insistence. She said old things ought to find their rightful place. As withered petals fluttered onto the tips of my shoes, the MC suddenly announced loudly, "Bride, please toss the bouquet to the single ladies." Lin Yu's hand, painted with crimson nail polish, froze right before my eyes. "Miss Ning, come to the center," she said with a light chuckle behind her hand. "After all, you could use some of my bridal luck." The bouquet of roses and baby's breath came flying at me with a gust of wind, and I instinctively raised my hands to shield myself. But then I heard Zhu Yang's mocking laugh. "Ye throws really accurately. The words were abruptly cut off as the bouquet was intercepted by a pair of slender, well-defined hands just 3 inches from my face. Suddenly, I was pulled into a broad embrace, and the familiar scent made me feel completely at ease. Ju Yuran flipped the bouquet into the champagne tower, and in the instant the bouquet was submerged in the wine, he tossed the bouquet into the air, and it landed by Lin Yu's skirt. Splashing yellow wine stains, it's ruined. The entire room fell into dead silence. Ju Yuran pulled out the marriage certificate, its embossed gold seal pressing down on both our names, the date unmistakably matching the day Ju Yang sent out the invitations. The champagne glass in Ju Yang's hand shattered instantly, blood mixing with alcohol as it dripped down. Drip, drip. The venue fell silent in an instant, and after a long pause, Ju Yang finally spoke. "Uncle, jokes should have their limits." "It's not a joke. Ju Yuran is my husband." I broke free from Ju Yuran's embrace and shielded him behind me. "We're already married and have the marriage certificate. By rights, you should call me aunt." Ju Yuran raised an eyebrow as he looked at me standing protectively in front of him, his eyes glinting with amusement. "You've improved." Ju Yuran's deep voice sounded beside my ear, sending tingles down my spine and making my legs feel weak. Ju Yang suddenly noticed a bite mark on my collarbone. It was imprinted over the tattoo, slightly reddened. He bit down on that number, imprinting it deeply as if trying to erase the mark, yet with an overwhelming aggression. "Our Yao Yao." He leaned down and kissed my ear. "Was one with the entire Ju group's shares." Amidst the uproar in the room, Ju Yuran traced his fingers over the fresh bite mark beneath my neck, his fingertips lingering. Ju Yuran took my hand, and I felt a sudden chill around my ring finger. I raised my hand and realized that Ju Yuran had slipped a diamond ring onto my finger at some point. It was dazzlingly beautiful, even larger than the one Lin Yu wore, making my hand appear even fairer and more delicate under the light. Ju Yang gritted his teeth as he watched the scene unfold before him. "This place is stifling. Yao Yao, let me take you out for some fresh air." Ju Yuran wrapped his arm around my waist, ready to leave the wedding banquet. The woman he once called worthless now wore haute couture, her fingertips adorned with diamonds worth billions. She held all the shares of Ju Corporation. Ju Yang's eyes burned with fury as he pointed at Ju Yuran's retreating figure and cursed loudly. "Trash picking up second-hand goods." Ju Yuran gave a signal, and suddenly many black-clad bodyguards rushed out. They lifted Ju Yang up, forcing him to kneel on the ground. I didn't say a word, walked straight up to Ju Yang, and slapped him across the face. The sound was crisp and clear, a decade of youth, 200,000 in betrothal gifts, all shattered in that single, crisp sound. Ju Yuran clapped behind him, as if applauding a perfect theatrical performance. Ju Yang staggered into the bathroom, where the man with the crooked tie in the mirror overlapped with his confident, younger self from 10 years ago. Ning Yao used to smooth out every wrinkle for him on nights like these, but now the frayed threads at his cuffs remain unmended. "Why did you deliberately provoke Ju Yang?" I grabbed him by the collar and pulled him closer, his handsome face magnifying before my eyes. The air, mingled with the scent of pine, instantly enveloped me. He loosened his tie, revealing the tattoo beneath his collarbone that mirrored mine, freshly inked this morning. The numbers glowed red, faint traces of needle marks still visible beneath a layer of transparent cling film. It was my birthday. I leaned back against the wardrobe, the metal handle digging painfully into my spine. Ju Yuran lowered his head, drawing closer to me until the air grew thin. "You said you wanted to see him trampled by the person he despised most." His kiss cut off the end of my sentence. The kiss carried the metallic tang of blood and the bitterness of whiskey. His hand gripped my waist, pulling me closer to him, our bodies pressed tightly together, the locker room mirror reflecting our entwined figures. The face of his wristwatch gleamed a cold blue in the dim light, its second hand ticking in sync with my pulse. "I want to hear the truth." Breathing slightly heavily, I turned my head and pushed him away, panting. He retreated half an inch, his nose brushing against my burning earlobe. "Because I'm jealous that he had 10 years with you." The scalding breath made my ears tingle with numbness. Ju Yuran's voice was heavy and slightly trembling, enunciating each word as if venting all his anger. I gently caressed Ju Yuran's face. my fingertips tracing downward from his brows until they finally rested on his abdomen. Now you have me for a lifetime. His pupils suddenly contracted, and he suddenly smiled as he lifted me onto the shelf, the black trench coat brushed against my calves. Tickling me and making me instinctively shrink back, he leisurely unbuttoned the third button of my shirt, his lips murmuring against my collarbone, "Mrs. Ju, get ready." Ju Yang's newlywed life began to crumble right from the honeymoon phase. On the third day of marriage, Lin Yu demanded that all the betrothal gifts be transferred to her personal account. She was obsessed with flaunting luxury goods on social media, yet couldn't be bothered to make him a simple hangover soup. Returning home late from a business dinner, Ju Yang collapsed onto the cold, empty living room carpet, found Lin Yu livestreaming herself unboxing her newly arrived Hermes package. On the kitchen stove sat a long cold takeout box, its grease congealed into waxy yellow clumps. He suddenly remembered a rainy night when he was working overtime. Ning Yao had waited in the office lobby for 4 hours, clutching a thermal container, when she lifted the lid. The yam and pork rib porridge was still bubbling hot, and now, as he crouched by the smart toilet retching, Lin Yu's coquettish complaints slipped through the door crack. "Honey, this crocodile skin Birkin bag requires a purchase quota of 700,000. When Ju Yang pressed Lin Yu's reject button for the 37th time, the car radio was broadcasting a red typhoon warning. The windshield wipers swung frantically across the glass, but couldn't wipe away those stubborn water streaks. Like the lipstick stains Lin Yu always left on the leather seats, no matter how much care was taken, they would seep into the grain. As if possessed, he drove toward the old district, and by the time he realized it, the car was already facing that porridge shop glowing with warm yellow light. Back when Ning Yao wasn't yet skilled in cooking, she would buy porridge for him here. Later, she practiced and experimented endlessly until she could finally make it herself for him. Nowadays, the neon sign had been replaced with a smart screen, scrolling through advertisements endorsed by celebrities. A familiar shade of blue suddenly emerged through the rain. Liang Yao rushed into the kanji shop clutching an insulated box, her hood blown back by the wind to reveal hair cropped short at her ears. Ju Yang's fingers dug sharply into the steering wheel. That long strand of hair he used to twirl around his fingers had long been cut off by Ning Yao, unable to bear such a life any longer. He filed for divorce with Lin Yu. When Lin Yu's lawyer's letter demanding divorce compensation arrived, Ju Yang accidentally knocked over the cup Ning Yao had given him. He knelt on the ground, picking up the shattered glass piece by piece, only realizing his palms were bleeding when crimson lines appeared. Raindrops pounded against the window, and in a daze, he saw the 26-year-old Ning Yao crouching on the floor of their rented apartment, using glue. She carefully pieced back together the birthday gift he had given her, a cheap plaster couple figurine. Ju Yang's tears fell abruptly, drop by drop. I slowly closed the cabinet door, the paper cranes in the glass jar rustling faintly. Those were folded by me during sleepless nights when Ju Yang was starting his business. 999 in total. Now, each wing bears a date penned in ink, marking the 10 years we've misplaced. So what? Suddenly, Ju Yang dropped to his knees. Trembling as he pulled out a velvet jewelry box, the 8-carat pink diamond sparkled brilliantly against the black velvet, yet it only made his current posture appear all the more ridiculous. "This is what you said you liked in a magazine before. I searched everywhere, Mr. Ju remembered wrong." Ju Yuran's voice came from behind as he carried my forgotten knit cardigan and a bouquet of flowers. My wife was pointing at the magazine back then and said, "Growing this kind of rose requires acidic soil." She's always only been interested in things that can take root and sprout. The last time I saw Ju Yang was when he waited outside my old apartment until 2 a.m., holding Ju Yuran's black umbrella. I stepped out of the Bentley. Yao Yao, I was wrong. Rainwater streamed down his suit. "I've divorced Lin Yu." "Yao Yao, you deserve the best. I'll give you everything I have. And we can start over, Mr. Ju." It was the first time I interrupted him with such distant formality. If a broken mirror dares to dream of being whole again, it must first kneel and swallow every last shard. Ju Yang was speechless, momentarily unable to utter a sound. Ju Yuran led me upstairs. It was only later that I learned Ju Yang had stood outside my building the entire night. The last time Ju Yang saw Ning Yao was at the scene of the old mansion's fire. Lin Yu set his house on fire in a fit of rage after he froze her account. Amid the roaring sirens of fire trucks, he frantically dug through the charred ruins. Finally, amidst the wreckage, he found half of a melted silver chain. Suddenly, the memory of Ning Yao squatting in front of the jewelry store counter, carefully comparing the price difference between gold and pure silver, became painfully vivid. "Watch out!" A familiar cry of surprise rang sharply in his ears. Ju Yang turned around, just in time. Ning Yao lunged forward to shield the child who was nearly crushed by the falling beam. A few strands of her hair were singed at the ends, but she held the child tightly in her arms. Ju Yuran strode over and wrapped an arm around her shoulder. As they bent down to check the child's injuries, Ju Yuran's collarbone revealed a matching tattoo. Like symbiotic flowers, the moment the fire hose erupted in a torrential spray, Ju Yang finally saw the truth behind this decade-long dream. He had lost the only girl who would wipe away his wine stains, remember his stomach medication dosage, and even choose hypoallergenic materials for silver chains. Yet he smugly believed he'd made the shrewd choice by picking the higher-priced counterfeit. Suddenly, he understood Ning Yao's words after she got her birthday tattoo all those years. Some marks take a lifetime to prove whether they're worth it. The most expensive thing was never the bride with a price tag, but the fool who was willing to grind her youth into gold dust to outline his future. End of main text. Ju Yuran's perspective. The first time I saw Ning Yao was in the surveillance footage at the Ju family's old mansion. That day, the old man was furious because Ju Yang had once again spent the night at a hotel with dubious friends. I leaned back in the swivel chair of the surveillance room with a cigarette dangling from my lips, watching 18-year-old Ning Yao squat on the back kitchen steps on the screen, holding a bowl of steamed egg custard to coax the sulky Ju Yang. Her neck was as slender as a willow branch in early spring, her collarbones still bare. "Without that damned tattoo she'd get later, how long are you going to watch?" the security captain asked, wiping sweat from his brow. I didn't answer, rewinding the footage to 3 minutes earlier, when Ju Yang had flipped over the porcelain bowl. The girl's first instinct was to reach out and catch the steaming egg custard. The broken porcelain shards cut her hand, blood droplets staining her pale blue skirt into a few crooked plum blossoms. Later, I rented an apartment across from her bridal shop. She always smiled at everyone, genuinely sharing their happiness for marriage. At this moment, I was wondering what she would look like wearing the wedding dress she designed herself. On the day we finally met face to face, I deliberately knocked over the chicken soup she had made for Ju Yang. When the scalding soup spilled onto my wrist, I saw her pupils shrink abruptly, just as they had when she caught the steamed egg custard years ago. "Let me take you to the hospital." Her fingers trembled as she clutched the burn ointment. Yet she forced herself to appear composed. I stared at the unhealed needle marks near her collarbone and suddenly burst into laughter. It was 3 days after Ju Yang's birthday. The bruised ink beneath her skin looked painfully conspicuous, so I pretended it was my birthday instead. The moment I truly decided to marry her was when I saw Ju Yang embracing Lin Yu while picking out wedding rings at the jewelry store. The rain poured relentlessly outside the glass window as Ning Yao huddled in the restaurant, clutching a stack of wedding plans. Her phone screen flickered intermittently, filled with unread messages all sent to Ju Yang. The topmost message read, "Don't drive in the typhoon. I've called a designated driver for you." When I found her, she was drowning her sorrows in alcohol, with 4 or 5 empty bottles scattered at her feet. I couldn't resist bringing up marriage, and the moment I said it, I regretted it, feeling like I was too impulsive. Fortunately, she was impulsive too and actually agreed to my proposal, but it still wasn't formal enough. I need to give Yao Yao a more grand proposal. The next morning, afraid she might be scared seeing me, I practiced outside the door for a long time how to bring it up. At the last moment before entering, I still clumsily asked if she wanted something to eat. Luckily, she didn't change her mind. On our wedding night, she was stumbling drunk, yet she still remembered to replace my antidepressants with vitamins. By the time I came to my senses, I'd already pinned her down on the contract drafts scattered across the floor, her wrist turned slightly purple from my grip. Yet she tilted her head up and bit my lower lip until it bled. Juyuran, your heartbeat is so loud. Later, at the wedding, when Linyu tossed the bouquet, I watched her pale profile through the crowd. The reflections from the champagne tower danced over the tattoo on her collarbone, where the numbers that belonged to me were devouring Ju Yang's traces. Last night she curled up asleep on the windowsill, still clutching Ju Yang's letter of repentance in her palm. As I pulled out the letter, she suddenly murmured in her sleep, "You ran. The medicine is in the left drawer." Now she turns over, resting her head on my arm. That girl who barged into my life 10 years ago taught me what love is. At last, I have Ning Yao. And at last, Ning Yao has me for a lifetime. My Yao Yao always deserves the best. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment below. See you in the next video.